12s, we got to do better. The most comments we've had on a single video this month is 240, and that's not good enough. I, your fearless leader, want to hear directly from you, folks. So, if we get 1,000 comments on today's video, I will shout you out on a future edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. If you love the Seattle Seahawks, spam S in the comments section. Let's see it as much as humanly possible. And if we reach that 1,000, whoever does it the most, you're getting some love here on Seahawks Today. Spam it. We'll get started with today's show. The NFL Draft is less than a week away, and we just got some major hints on what Seahawks GM John Schneider has in mind for next week's draft. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us here on the program. So if you recall last week, the Seahawks signed Drew Lock in free agency, and there was a lot of rumblings that could signal that the Hawks are likely not going to draft a quarterback, with already bringing in Sam Darnold. Sam Howell is still on the roster. Jaron Hall is there. And now you add in Drew Lock. Where's the roster spot for a quarterback, right? Well, wait. John Schneider, in his weekly radio show with Seattle Sports this week, said that the signing of Drew Lock does not mean that they will not draft a quarterback. In fact, Schneider has said all offseason long they want to draft a quarterback and that he is embarrassed of their track record or lack thereof when it comes to the quarterbacks that they have brought in his tenure as general manager in Seattle. Since 2013, the Seahawks have only drafted one total QB in an 11-year stretch. That was Alex McGough, the 7th-round pick in 2018. So will that change? Let's hear more from Schneider of what he had to say this week. I think it's a great situation. We have 4 guys that we really like. It doesn't preclude us from doing anything in the draft either and figuring out what's going on there. It's really like, okay, let's get this in the mix. Drew had other opportunities, so we figured we better wrap this up. We kind of put a bow on it, get him in the building, and then let's see what happens in the draft, because it's difficult to find that great fit at quarterback as you move through the process. So really excited to have all 4 of those guys. To have Sam Howell and Drew kind of competing for that second spot is a pretty good deal for us. So he says this. I've heard this from John Schneider before. He's talked the last few seasons about drafting a quarterback to no avail, no results. I'll believe it when I see it. John, you may say you want to draft a quarterback, but the results say otherwise. It's like saying, I may want to date Sydney Sweeney. That doesn't mean she's going to give me the opportunity to go out with her. I haven't pursued her. Kind of same ordeal here with John Schneider and going after quarterbacks. So, do you really believe John Schneider? Does he actually want to draft a quarterback? It's our pinned comment today. Let us know. Y for yes, N for no. If you actually believe John Schneider that he wants to draft a quarterback. So the Seahawks have done their due diligence. They've met with, by our count, and it could be more, but at least of public knowledge, 6 total quarterbacks in this year's draft class, which includes Shedeur Sanders. He was the first quarterback they met with at the East-West Shrine game. And with signing Sam Darnold, that seems unlikely, as Shedeur is expected to be a first-round pick. Will Howard had a meeting with Seattle at the Senior Bowl. Will Howard, of course, won a national championship with Ohio State this past season. Big arm, big quarterback, certainly looks the part. A name to also keep an eye on that should still be on the board on day 3 is Dillon Gabriel. And I think Dillon Gabriel makes a lot of sense. He had a meeting at the Senior Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, and this is somebody that's a great leader. He's a bit undersized, doesn't have the strongest arm. You've heard that before about a certain Seahawks quarterback that they picked later on, and it worked out pretty well. Maybe you start him as a backup and see where things potentially go from there. At the very least, I think Dillon Gabriel can be a very good career backup. They also met with Jaxson Dart at the NFL Draft Combine. And we've seen people like Mel Kiper and Matt Miller and these others try to make a connection that Seattle could go towards Jaxson Dart. That doesn't seem likely at this point based on the most recent evidence. They also took a top 30 visit with Tyler Shough, the quarterback from Louisville, who has seen his stock skyrocket, and there's even conversations about him being a first-round pick at this point. And then the only quarterback they met with, not once, but twice, was Alabama's Jalen Milroe, who they took a top 30 visit with and also met with at the Senior Bowl. So of all of those 6 QBs, my suspicion is that if they're going to pick a quarterback, the most likely option would be Jalen Milroe. The only quarterback with 2 meetings, I think that's a big deal that he got those 2 meetings. That tells me that the Seattle Seahawks are very, very interested in Jalen Milroe. And he might not even necessarily be what you think he is. We'll explain what I mean by that coming up in just a moment. Before we do, what do you think about Jalen Milroe? We'll go over his scouting report in just a moment, but want to hear from you guys. Type D for draft, P for pass. Should Seattle bring Milroe in? Weigh in and let us know. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier, even for hard-to-get playoff seats. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. I'm planning to head to some NBA playoff games, but maybe you can't make it out to an NBA playoff game. We all wish we could go see the Sonics in action. That's not happening. Instead, you could go see maybe right here in Seattle, the Seattle Mariners, or another event within Seattle. You choose the event you want to go to. They got the prices listed. Choose your seat, and then you're checking out on Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Seattle Seahawks today, where they offer last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, shows, theater productions, and more. Game Time Picks makes last-minute ticket buying easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. They have their zone deals where you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. They're all in pricing. You toggle this feature, and it will show you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. They have their seat views where you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price is guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPRTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks today. Now, when it comes to Jalen Milroe, the reason why his stock is not one of a first-round pick is that the reality with Jalen Milroe is he is an incredible athlete, but he is a project. He will not be ready to be a starter day one. Now, Seattle's not looking for a day one starter. They're hoping that they can find somebody to be a quality backup and maybe down the line compete to be the long-term solution at the quarterback position. But here's the thing. I don't even know if Jalen Milroe is going to be a quarterback at the next level, in all honesty. He is built like a freight train. He's a big human being. He runs incredibly well. But I have some concerns about his passing ability. More on that in a moment. Let's tell you more about Milroe. Played his entire career at Alabama. Got off to a bit of a rusty start with his first year as the starter. Was benched, came back, took the Tide to the college football playoff. Had an up-and-down year. His second year as the starter under new head coach Kalen DeBoer, and was a second-team All-SEC selection in 2023. Won the William V. Campbell Trophy in 2024. And here's what I mean by the shaky passing numbers. 2023, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, completion percentage near 66%. The completion percentage number went down last year. The touchdowns number went down, and his interceptions went up from 6 to 11. But the athleticism, it is there. 20 rushing touchdowns last year, 726 yards off of 168 carries. Milroe's scouting report. He can make big plays on the run. He's got dynamic arm talent. He can certainly throw it, but you don't necessarily know where it's going to land. He's well built. He's got a sharp release, but major accuracy concerns, and that could lead to him shifting positions at the next level, whether it's as a tight end, an H-back type. That might be more of his future. What about drafting a quarterback? Should the Seahawks draft a QB? What do you guys think? HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Get in the comments section. Tell me what you think. We'll be live for the 2025 NFL Draft right here on Seahawks Today. Thursday night for the first round, rounds 2 and 3 on Friday, and then we'll do it all again for day 3 on Saturday. Make sure you join us. Turn on your notifications so you're the first to know when we go live here on Seattle Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/Seahawks TV. Invite 20 of your friends. Make sure they subscribe as well, and we will see you then. So here's what I'm looking at, folks. All right, this would be my vantage point, my perspective if I'm John Schneider. Let's just say that you like Jalen Milroe or really any other quarterback, and we mentioned it earlier with the 6 different quarterbacks they met with. If there's somebody that you are sold on, that you make up your mind, I want that guy in my team, then it shouldn't matter about having Drew Lock or Sam Howell on your roster. All right? You can get rid of one or both those guys if you're fully sold on one of these other quarterbacks, and it's not going to cost you a thing. That should not stop you from drafting said quarterback if there's one you fall in love with and you really like. We know that it's going to be a quarterback competition for the backup job between Lock and Howell, and I think Howell is on the wrong end of things there. I think Seattle's more comfortable with Drew Lock. Drew Lock's got a better track record as a backup compared to Sam Howell, but we'll see how it plays out. Ultimately, I hope that the Seahawks do draft a quarterback. Now, I have some concerns about Jalen Milroe. I'm not saying it has to be Jalen Milroe by any stretch of the imagination, but I hope they do. And the other thing I look at on a final note is look at what the Patriots did for so many years. They had the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady, and what did they do? They kept on drafting quarterbacks, and they got assets out of Matt Castle. They got assets out of Jimmy Garoppolo. They were able to trade those guys and get something out of them, even if they were never going to be their starting quarterback. And so if you see one of those quarterbacks you like, if you fall in love with, go ahead and bring them in. Maybe they turn into your starter someday. If not, very least, maybe you flip them and have them as an additional asset or at least a very good backup in case Sam Darnold gets hurt. I think it makes a ton of sense. Thanks for watching this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. If you made it to the end of today's video, that means you are a real member of the 12s. Spam 12 in the comment section. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.